So I want to tell somebody about this experience that I had. Um, the entire thing that's happening between the police and the people is being orchestrated, and if we don't understand that we're being manipulated, then we're playing right into it. And the fact is it's our blood that's being spilled, and these motherfuckers that are manipulating things to make these interactions happen, they're making the police come, at us like we're fucked up pieces of shit. um, the people, they're making tons and tons of money off of it. You're talking about the attorneys that are in the courts, the fucking public defender's office and the fucking prosecutors. And everybody, has the feeling, yeah, they're kind of working together and stuff. But when you get tangled up in the justice system, you have faith and hope that that public defender is actually on your fucking side. And the thing is he's fucking not. He to the extent that they literally are orchestrating this whole fucking thing. So when an attorney doesn't do their job, which is to make things easier on the prosecution, basically, because if it's not for them bringing all these fucked up charges, then the defense attorneys don't have anybody to pretend to defend, so there's no billable hours for them either. So the agreement is that they'll do their best to make the plea happen, because basically the prosecution doesn't want to have to work, so they come in with these crap accusations and no case at all that actually has any valid anything. And the hope is they'll have fucked you up enough and left you in jail long enough, and your defense attorney's going to lie to you well enough that you'll make a plea deal. I mean, the truth is, if everybody just went to trial and demanded that they don't, I will not waive my speedy, I'm going straight to trial, they would crash the justice system, because they do not have the docket call and the resources to fucking handle that many cases. They're banking on the plea deal, and about 93% of cases resolve in a plea. And I can see why. They're there to fuck you, but the defense attorneys are there to make that happen. And so what happened in my case was, and we'll get into the whole deal about it, in another video, because I don't have a lot of time on this left over here. But this is really, I want to get this to the cops, and they probably don't give a fuck about the whole thing. But what happened with me is I got nailed with a bunch of bullshit, like it really was, and it was in Idaho. And the thing is, I'd been litigating in the courts for about 10 years. So when I got a public defender, I looked at them differently. They're all pieces of shit. I know you're pieces of shit, so don't pretend you're not. And, this is bothersome to them. But so I went through the public defender's office, and I got a conflict, and then I got Jed Nixon, and he's the one that ultimately rode out the rest of it with me. Well, I allowed him to stay. And he's basically just a really good liar. He's a really good liar. And he tried like a motherfucker to screw me. He really did do his job and do everything he could. And in the end, I get to do what I want to do. And so he's on record, I think it's 6 times, this is against my advice. But those are the things that made it so I wasn't buried by the bullshit. I actually was able to dig my way up to the air again, because they were just heaping, and they just ruin everything. And so he tried. He tried to screw me. He altered a medical release form, and I had to catch that and go down to the hospital, and this was all about thinking about, okay, what I had filled it out, and you shouldn't have to worry that they're going to do something like that. But, he'd said something about this asshole Dr. Hanger, and I was like, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I just, that sounds weird. So I went down and locked my records down, and sure as fucking shit, I got this email from his little secretary saying, Jed had me make this minor alteration after you signed it. If that's okay, will you send us an email? Let us know. So I made a point not to respond to that, because what they were going to do is, if I responded and said, don't do it, they would like, well, we didn't open it. We just saw the response and figured it was okay, because we said only respond if it's okay. Again, it's dumb. You think this shit's going to fly with me, because I've dealt with you motherfuckers for so fucking long. And, he was good, but I still, in the end, I pulled it out of my ass, and fucking, they didn't get me on anything, because it was all shit, and it was just a matter of making it get to trial, getting to the fucking trial, because they didn't have to drop everything, because they didn't have trialable evidence, because they didn't have a case. And the 3.5 years they spent, and they billed like four point some mil, like four, I'm gonna say $4.6 million to the county just to prosecute me, and then drop everything. So they make a ton of money doing nothing. And so anyways, Jed was not, they were mad at him because they were humiliated. In the end, Barry McHugh was humiliated, and they were so pissed, and we had the hearing where they were going to drop everything, and I get there, and Jed's there, and he looks like death, like he looks like he's going to stroke the fuck out of me, and I mean, I'd seen him, kind of stressed out because I had a tendency to upset him. He should be upset, he's a fucking piece of shit, but whatever. So this is the first time I've ever seen him, and so I was like, Jesus Christ, Jed, and this is all good stuff, what are you talking about, what's wrong, and he's just like, wouldn't say anything. So we're sitting there waiting, for the hearing, and somebody from the prosecution's office comes in, some bitch, and she's like, oh, Jed, did you hear? And she starts talking about these clients of his, and that they had just issued warrants for him. I think it was Bonner County, something like that. And he's like, well, actually his girlfriend is my client. He's not, but he's just looking like he's going to throw up, I was like, weird. And a couple minutes later, another one comes in and does the same thing. She's like, oh, Jed, did you hear? But then this time it's like 3, but it's a different county, So then a third one comes in, and it's the same shit, but it's a different county. And I'm listening to this, I'm going, you have, in the end, there's 13 that I witnessed they came in, 13 people that these 4 bitches came and said to him, we just picked up your clients. And these are people that had done nothing, but had the misfortune of Jed Nixon, being assigned to them, who, unfortunately for him, was assigned to me. And so, even though he's on record saying that this is against my advice, and he did everything he could to stop, again, I get to do what I'm going to do. It's my fucking shit. And I did what and it worked out exactly the way it should. So that still wasn't okay. And what they had done is they literally went and issued warrants on all of his clients, on all bullshit charges, nothing legit at all. And the point is most of them, if not all, I'm guessing, were on probation. So they issue the warrants, and then they get hit with the probation violation, and then they would drop the charges, and the people still get fucked because they got probation violation. So a lot of them will still do 30 days, and they'll be on their thing, and even though the prosecutors drop the fucking charge, people who are on probation that get charged, they still end up with a probation violation. I don't know the details, and there probably is something that you can do about that, because it seems really fucked up, but I witnessed it myself. I know this is true. So over and over, people would get charged, get picked up, and then get hit with a probation violation, and their shit would start over. Like a lot of times when they were close to being done. But this time, they literally did this to punish Jed. So he would be flying the fuck around Idaho with a million first appearances all at the same time in every county possible. Nez Pierce, Bonner, Kootenai, Shoshone, I think it's Benoit, something like that. Anyways, the clients that he had, they did nothing. There was not a crime actually committed. There's no way you're going to convince me ever that over a 24-hour period, every one of Jed Nixon's clients went crazy and committed crimes, and that this is legit. And I already knew about them doing, arresting people and then getting fucked on probation. So I was going, what the fuck? And I said to him, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing to you. They're picking up your clients, so you have to, and he still never gave them up, but that is what fucking happened. And I confirmed it with his stupid bitch secretary. And I said, I didn't know that they did to that extent. Here's the thing. Okay, so you were looking at 13 that I know for sure, and there may have been more, but 13 that I personally witnessed, those bitches come in and tell him, haha, bitch, we got your fucking people picked up all over Idaho, in this county, and they were smiling and laughing. It was so funny to them. And so 13 bullshit charges, or bullshit warrants, that are going to have to be served by the police. So here we go. We were creating a fucking interaction that is just, it's just ripe for insanity to go down, because they write this shit to get the warrants. So it's like, this guy's a pile of shit, blah, blah, blah. The cop gets the warrant, and so he thinks the guy's a pile of shit, and he remembers he's already had to arrest him, and he doesn't, no one thinks that the prosecution would do something like that, so they just, think this person's a piece of shit. So here's this person who's really not, and they don't know what the fuck's going on, and they're dealing with probation, and they just dug themselves out of the hole that they were in from the last prosecution, and here comes the fucking cops again with another fucking warrant. And they're like, what are you doing to me? And this guy's like, you were such a pile of shit. And he thinks this because why would you ever imagine that somebody in a position like that would fucking use their power like that? that it would be about Jed Nixon, who in his own right was all stressed out only because of his own fucking ass and afraid, how am I going to do this? He, in his own right, didn't give a shit about that either. And the truth is if it goes bad, this is fine, because either way it gets spun. The piece of shit shot the cop, or the cops had to shoot the piece of shit. And either the prosecution was trying to prosecute this piece of shit. They're wonderful people because this piece of shit's so fucked up he shot a cop, or the cop had to shoot him. That's how bad they are. So either way it spins great. And then now we've got the spin, and worst case scenario is there's more charges brought, and then they can just prosecute those and drop the arresting charge, which is what they did. And they did that in my case too. It last ditch effort to try to get everything to go to shit, because on appeal, again, it would have all gone out because they had no reason to be there. So they want to drop that. So we're just going to discuss, whatever they think they found when they were there, and fuck the reason why they were there, and make it so I can't talk about that because they dropped that fucking charge. And they can do this. They absolutely can do this. So, you would think that if the arresting charge is no good, that the rest goes away, but it doesn't, at least not in Idaho. So this is a purposeful fucking tactic, and they don't give a fuck that they're creating these instances, and the cops are getting this bad information, and that's where this is the problem, is you are being lied to just like us, and you are coming after us and looking at us like we are fucked in the head because that bitch fucking is telling you that. And the truth is she doesn't fucking care. She's saying whatever she needs to say to get the warrant and start this shit show to punish Jed. Because Jed didn't do his job, and they were humiliated by being brought to task and shown to be the piles of shit that they were. There wasn't a fucking case. I didn't do that fucked up stuff. So put it in the paper, put it across the news. That shit was blasted everywhere, like 3 days before I was even charged with any of it. And that's what they fucking did. And so, this is what they're fucking like. And I know the disgusting things that they fucking say about me, and I'm still dealing with it. It's now they just are fucked in the head, and they don't care. You beat them because you aren't that piece of shit. And instead of them going, oh my God, they just go, oh shit, people are going to think crappy of me because I really have to make this person look like a piece of shit now. We have to get this person and bury them because right now I look like a fucking moron because I did this, and then I had to drop, like I said, 13 counts of grand theft alone. I don't even know. I don't remember how many. It was so fucking many charges. It was all bullshit. So, that's how it is. It's all in their own fucking head. Like, nobody gives a shit. Nobody's thinking about them the way they think about themselves. They were so embarrassed, but it was only about them. Like, nobody thought twice. Even though it was a fantastic deal, truly nobody gave a fuck, and that was kind of sad for me, but that's the truth. And so, because of that, like I said, Jed was the target, and his clients used, and again, they instigated all this shit and didn't fucking give a crap that the police were gonna have to put their lives at risk too. And then they coming in with that attitude because they really think this. And the thing is the bitches are lying. The bitches are fucking lying. They're making this shit up to create these fucking things, and they don't give a fuck who dies. They don't give a fuck because it gets spun either way that they're the fucking heroes. And the truth is they're fucking doing this, and you are operating on bad information. You're coming at the people, and you are the last straw, and you're getting shot, and we're getting shot. And these motherfuckers, every time I think about this, it's like the horror of Babylon. These fucking disgusting, gluttonous pigs, and they're drunk as fuck on our blood. And they're on the back of the beast as they pull the strings that keep us fighting and not understanding what the fuck's happening, as they drink and they gorge and they get so fucking disgusting and bloated that they throw it all up so they can drink some more. That is what these fucking people remind me of. And I mean it. All of them. The defense attorneys, to me, are worse because the prosecutors are pukes and they're self-centered fucksticks, and they don't even hide it. The defense attorneys are the ones abusing the people's trusts. And it's fucking sick because the truth, they don't care. The prosecutors want you to suffer. They want you to, and they hope it happens because then they can spin it like what a pile of shit, But the defense attorneys, they just don't give a fuck if you are suffering. It doesn't cross their fucking minds. It's a game to them. How far can they get in the case without even having to open the file? And it's a fucking joke. We are a fucking joke, and it's our lives. And this is the thing. The police are being used too. If you guys were not out there following blindly, thinking that somehow we are the piles of shit. And you have wide discretion. The truth is, there is no law that requires you to arrest anybody ever. Ever. You are given that discretion because you're supposed to show up on the scene and take in the information and see what the fuck to do to make things right. It's not a blanket policy that it's become now. Well, I got to arrest you. I got a thing in the paper that says arrest you. Well, I got to do it. It's my job. And, that's the thing. You're not ever going to lose your job for not fucking violating people's rights. You're not going to ever lose your job for doing yours. And when we set the shit up, we gave you wide discretion because you need to examine each situation uniquely and you're perfectly capable of taking information and coming to a reasonable conclusion. And the bosses are telling you that you're not, that you're too stupid. You're too dumb, so we have to make these blanket policies. And so you just arrest everybody and just assume they're piles of crap. The prosecution makes these warrants to make them look like a pile of crap. And the only reason she's saying that is to get the fucking warrant. And that's because she's trying to pick everybody up that Jed Nixon ever represented to fuck with him because they were humiliated by the fact that, again, they weren't doing their fucking job. And they were wasting everybody's time and money on a bunch of bullshit. And it all blew up in their face. They billed over $4.5 million prosecuting me over that whole time. That's not counting the time in jail, and that's not counting the defense attorneys. And I was monitoring that shit because that's public record, account receivables and what the county's paying. And I was looking, and that fucker piece of shit, Jed, there was 1 month of $7,000 just for me. And I don't even think we had court that month. I don't even think we had court once that month. And so again, $4.5 million the prosecution spent to prosecute me on a bunch of bullshit. And it came out and they got caught and they looked stupid and they should, and they felt embarrassed and they should. And instead of correcting their behavior and stopping their shit, they punished Jed by ruining at least 13 more people's lives and putting 13 officers at fucking risk to go serve those fucking warrants at people that they think are piles of shit, to people that aren't, that don't understand why the fuck this is happening to them. And the cops don't understand. They go to jail. They're going to go to jail. Then you're done with it. You don't ever hear. The fact is again, those prosecutions will drop those charges and those people will still suffer for probation violations, even though the charges were completely fucking fabricated bullshit to begin with. And it was done with the purpose of fucking with Jed Nixon. Because Jed didn't shut me up. Poor Jed tried. Trust me, he did. But, it didn't work. So, I don't know. You don't have to. Look up the law and see what you're allowed. And that's the thing. You can do a writ of assistance. And you say, hey, the fucking courts want you. The prosecutor's talking shit again. Don't put yourselves on the line. Every time you serve a warrant, you're risking that. Every traffic ticket, you are literally risking your fucking life to pull someone over for a fucking taillight. For Christ's sake, you are willing to put your life on the line for a taillight. And it's because here's the thing. It doesn't mean that people are nuts. It means you're killing us. You're squashing us. You're bleeding us dry. You're the goon squad for the state. You're literally taking all of our money and wasting all of our time. And we aren't doing anything fucked up. Our taillights out, for Christ's sake. And again, people are cracking. And people are stressed. And you are coming at them. And you're the one with the gun. And you're the one with the bulletproof vest. And you are the one trying to restrain us. And if we move, you tie us up with a rope and beat us up. And then it's like, oh, I was scared. And you are scared because we could flip out. And the thing is, it's not random. Okay? It's the pressure is too fucking much. And when you have put your life back together after being fucked by this system, and then you motherfuckers show up with a fucking warrant and you're going, what the fuck did I even do? You don't care. I don't care. I don't care what you did. I don't care if it's right. I got this piece of paper and it says to fuck your world up, and I'm going to do it because I'll lose my job otherwise. And that's what you proceed to do. And people are responding to that, and people are dying. And those fat fuckers are sitting there just bloated and fat on all of our blood. Why we fight? Why we hate you and you hate us, and you can't come at us, and you don't, I don't even want to hear it. Do not even say that you do not approach like we're piles of shit, because you do. You have to think that, or you wouldn't be able to do the things that you do to us. You have to look at me like I'm a piece of shit, or you would care that I'm hurting when you cuff me like that. You would care that it's going to fuck me up. You would care that I'm going to lose everything I fucking have if you do this right this minute and you don't let me put my shit in my car. If you don't give me that second as a human, and you couldn't do that to me unless you're just a fuckstick. If you looked at me as anything but a piece of fucking shit. And again, who can blame you when they're writing that? But again, trust your source, right? Figure it out. Know for your sure. What's your experience? Do not just go off of what the fuck that bitch is saying. Because again, you are putting your fucking lives on the line to serve those fucking warrants, and you're the one that's gonna get shot. And when it happens, what's that bitch gonna do? Spin it around to fucking boost her fucking retainer when she goes in the private sector. Yeah, man, I had this motherfucker and I was gonna prosecute him and everything. The cop got shot. He was such a piece of shit. And the whole time it was all a bunch of crap about Jed Nixon. That's it. And your death meant nothing, and your friend's death meant nothing, or that person got shot for nothing, and you go on about your business like you killed a piece of shit. And this is what's happening, and you think it's right, but it's not. They're fucked up, and it needs to stop. And I don't know what else to do except for say the words. I know for a fact that happens. I know that they swear loyalty to each other. I know these things. And I witnessed those bitches bragging about ruining 13 people's fucking lives and putting 13 officers at risk. Painting a story so the officers go in with that kind of an attitude. And they love it because it keeps us fighting. It keeps us hating you and you hating us. And this is where we're at. This is where we're fucking at. Both sides are dying and they are getting richer. Just to punish Jed for something he really had no control over. Because, I mean, for Christ's sake, you can't control me. You have to kill me because you don't get to do anything I don't let you. And that's how I live my life. So please hear me. Don't fall for it. If you have questions, get a hold of me. So talk to each other or something.